In today's episode, who is on call for IT? The streamer, the puppeteer, and the corrupted clone drives. A particular connection. You're going to be rude? Have it your way, but all your tickets are now low priority, at the bottom of the queue. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Who is on call for IT? I'm typing this on a desktop with a full keyboard, so I expect you to judge my spelling and formatting harshly. I'm not IT, but I am one of those unofficial go-to guys at work because I'm good with technology. I'm an RN who used to work night shift. If the IT guys actually knew how many middle-of-the-night calls I stopped people from making, they'd buy me pizza or something. You know, they're on call, so I should call them even though the solution is a reboot, 99% of the time. It took us a long time to break people of that habit, instead to not call someone in the middle of the night unless it's truly important and prevents you from doing your job. One such situation was about 1:30 a.m. I wasn't called over, I just happened to be walking by the nurse's station and overheard someone ask, "Who is on call for IT?" Me, what's the problem? I can't get this computer to turn on. When I push the power button, the screen stays black. A quick glance to the tower to see if the front power button was lit, and the problem was obvious. Me, well, it probably won't turn on because there's no computer there. The space on the desk just to the right of the monitor, where the tower had always resided, is bare save for the unplugged ends of several cables. The streamer, the puppeteer, and the corrupted clone drives. First time poster here. I've been waiting for an epic enough story to post to this subreddit, and in the past fortnight, I've been graced with two. This is the first, the second will come on another day. In the last few months, I've been streaming to Twitch in my spare time, and I've made some good friends in the community within even that brief period. And what does this techie do when they see their friend having issues live on stream? I offer to help prevent those issues in the future. $Me, the green streamer of 3 to 4 months, but uses his tech enthusiasm and programming skills to help others have a less problematic experience. Nico, my friend, she's been streaming a few years before I met her. She knows her streaming gear, and is tech savvy enough to know hardware names when I say them, but not what to do with them. I'm UK based, and she's in America. So, all I have are remote control, messaging apps and Discord calls to guide her through stuff. It looks like I'm playing puppeteer this time. For a few weeks, Nico had been having performance issues. Game stuttering, encoding frame drops, Dober model freezing, plus many other ways the PC can say the engines can't take any more captain while she's streaming. Here's the thing though, even if her GPU isn't the best, RX 580, her CPU is no slouch, an 8th Gen i5, and she has more than enough RAM, and these stutters are new. And given I see others doing just as much or more on stream, sometimes on lesser hardware, I'm on a mission to find out what is causing this. The main concern is heat, as the PC still uses a stock cooler, but it seems clean enough, and this stutter is new, so my focus is on software instead of hardware. An opportunity arrives in the form of a SATA SSD that's bought for her, and it's bigger than the old 1TB hard drive she's been using for a while. She's also gotten herself a bus-powered USB 3 to SATA adapter. The bus-powered bit is relevant later. So, my thought is to clone the existing disk over to the SSD, and it gives us a faster disk to experiment with looking for a fix on, while we still have a kind of working backup with the OS, her config, and all her files intact safe on the old HDD, so we can reclone if things go wrong. I guide Nico into downloading Macrium Reflect Free in TeamViewer, and have her plug in the SATA disk over the USB adapter. I then remote in and set off the imaging process, and set the system to turn off when it's done. Nico is left with instructions to keep me up to date on the progress and tell me when it's done so I can guide her through the next bit. But the best laid plans and all that, it didn't go as planned. I get a call from my folks and am talking with them for a while, and don't notice $Nico message me saying it's done. I pick up the following messages on Discord half an hour later. $Nico, went outside for a bit, and when I came back my PC shut down. $Nico, tried to boot it back up and Windows is updating, it updated pretty fast. $Nico, was I even supposed to boot it back up? I'm getting a black screen. Image of active, but black, monitors. $Nico, I'm gonna turn it back off. On reading these my eyes see update black screen and my mind goes oh shit. I call $Nico up and she admits she got impatient and started it back up. The fact it was able to update means it was able to boot to one of the disks, but I had no idea which given I had no idea what the boot order was on this PC. I tell her to unplug the SSD as well as everything else, but a single monitor, keyboard, mouse, and network. We then try and boot again, it posts, and we get some spinning white windows as loading dots, but it ultimately fails on a black screen. So, I start guiding her inside of the case, and get her to unhook the old drive and plug in the SSD directly to the motherboard. We try and boot again, no dice, the loading dots then black. My only thought is the update process has found multiple Windows boot managers and attempted to do Lord knows what to both of them, as we now have 2 unbootable disks. A reset was not in the plans, but given the state of the disks it seems like the easiest option, and we can use it as a clean slate to help see if that sorts the performance issue that we initially set out to fix. $Nico, but what about my files? $me, they're safe. While not the intended reason for the clone, it does mean we have a copy of all your files on the original HDD, as well as on the SSD. The update just screwed Windows, it didn't nuke your files. So, we just attach it, and pull the files off it. $Nico, is there any way we can check? I have to think about this. If I was able to get there myself, I'd just attach them to a laptop, or use a Linux Lite USB, but this time I gotta think outside the box. There is one thought that comes to mind, Windows is still attempting to boot, so potentially I can get into the recovery manager. Can we get into safe mode? $me, I'm going to hope this works. If it does, this simplifies things a lot for the reset as well as allows us to check your files. Boot the computer, but as soon as you see the white dots, hard shut off the PC. Then repeat that until you see loading recovery manager or similar. $Nico follows my instructions, and it works. I guide her through the options, and it boots into safe mode. $Nico, yes. Looks like all my files are there. $me, well, if we're resetting, we're doing it on the SSD. So, we need to verify the HDD has your files too, just to be safe. We repeat the method to get into the recovery manager, then into safe mode, and verify her files are there, like I suspected they'd be. Finally, we swap back to the SSD, get into the recovery manager, then start the reset. Again, I leave her to wait it out while it downloads Win 11 fresh. This time she's acutely aware she's not to touch it until I'm available. It finishes and boots to the Win 11 first time setup screen. I guide $Nico though, and she hits the desktop. We go through the usual first time things, Windows updates, drivers, utilities, even a BIOS update as it seemed like an opportune moment. After the BIOS update, it is kind enough to tell us of a suboptimal RAM setup. She's running 3 sticks, 1 pair and 1 solo, and the pair isn't even in the same channel. So, we fix that ordering, check BIOS settings and boot. We're making progress to recovery, and it's going well. Too well. Next, we go to start the file recovery from the old disk. $Nico plugs the HDD into the USB SATA adapter, but nothing happens. I was already cagey about this adapter due to the lack of external power, and this confirms my fear, bus power is not enough to power this spinning drive. So, I have her order a SATA cable, and we wait until it arrives. Once we have the SATA cable, I guide $Nico into plugging it in, and then have an idea as to how we can be extra safe. Back to Macrium Reflect, this time we image the HDD into a file on the SSD. The idea here being we can unplug the HDD to prevent the same issue as last time, while also giving her a fast and non-writable way of retrieving her data from the old HDD by mounting the image. The image happens, it shuts down, and $Nico disconnects the old HDD. The file recovery goes mostly fine, with anything we can't restore being re-downloaded or a config simply not working with a fresh install of a program that didn't upgrade from a previous version, and we must reconfigure from scratch. Thanks Clip Studio Paint for that BS. She's back up and running now, but the performance issues are still there. So, we're now looking at hardware to solve the performance issues. Yesterday she had a 9th Gen i7 bought for her, so we're looking at proper coolers to tame it so we can put it in and hopefully put these performance issues to rest. And if that doesn't work, it's GPU time, but we really don't want to go there in the current state of things. I expect the new CPU fitting to be an adventure in its own right, and I have another story regarding a different streaming friend to share soon as well. So, look forward to those. A particular connection. So back in 2010 I worked as first-line support at a service desk of a large internet service provider. They served both business customers and private customers. A business subscription was obviously more expensive because it would contain an SLA with an uptime guarantee and a phone number which basically skipped first-line support. Non-business subscriptions were best effort and therefore way cheaper. At the time, small businesses would often get a non-business subscription. This was either because it was cheaper and they didn't see the added value of a business subscription, or they didn't know any better. I believe most of the time it was the latter. On a busy day, an English-speaking shop owner called the service desk and my colleague, let's call him John, answered the phone. Their internet was down and they wanted to be redirected to the second-line support immediately. Their business depended on the internet for monetary transactions, and they were losing money. So John looked up their info and noticed they didn't have a business subscription. And in order for him to be able to redirect the customer, several steps had to be followed, such as resetting the modem. John tried to make this clear, but the customer wouldn't have it. They were a business, so they should be redirected to the business service desk immediately. Of course, John couldn't oblige and tried to make clear to the customer they don't have a business subscription. In order to do so, he said the following: "Customer, you have a particular connection." Now this needs a little context. The Dutch word for non-business/private is particulier, which sounds mostly the same as particular. Needless to say, the customer didn't understand and wanted to speak to our supervisor. As far as I know, our supervisor handled the rest of the call. You're going to be rude? Have it your way, but all your tickets are now low priority, at the bottom of the queue. So today I had a really rude customer scream over the phone about how one of her colleagues' reports failed. They are a larger user, and they have been getting some minor errors more frequently, which are investigated by the dev team. Most of the functionality is working fine, just a part of the features occasionally throws an error, and they don't get charged for it. We acknowledge that and are doing all we can with limited resources, with 2 members of staff less than we previously had. So that woman who has a severe case of the Dunning-Kruger effect screamed in my ear yesterday after she called, and I told her politely that the issue will take time to resolve. She yelled, "All you need to do is some visual analysis. What is so hard about that, whatever that means?" I then told her that I will pass it on to the developers and ask them to prioritize their already existing ticket. So we looked at the error logs in the database, passed them on to the developers, told them that more and more have been popping up, and requested that they raise the urgency of the issue. However, they said that since it's intermittent, it's really difficult to replicate and therefore identify the issue that needs to be fixed, which makes sense. It's also only part of the application, and the rest of the functionality works fine, so they can't prioritize it when they're busy with more important things. Lo and behold, same Karen calls us again, and she's incredibly nasty. What a surprise. She says that she got another error, and I ask what her username is. She then yells it's not me who got the error, it's my colleague. So I'm like, okay. What's your colleague's username then? Apparently, I also need to ask my boss to pay for some courses in telepathy/mind reading. I then find the failed report, apologize for the inconvenience caused, and told her all details that we can share with customers about the investigation. I explain that her case is being reviewed, and we will be in touch as soon as possible. So I ask her, is there anything else we can help with? To which she laughs and replies, I don't think you helped me at all, but no. So this of course reminds me that there is no point to go the extra mile in customer support, and this job is not worth ruining my health over rude people. I felt sorry for the woman yesterday, so I set her low priority ticket to a higher priority, just so she could get an answer quicker. But then I thought, okay, looks like you don't need our help at all. I find all her tickets and then set them to low priority, which they are. I only set them to a higher priority after I was startled by her screaming. This means the earliest she will get a reply is in 2 weeks, even though she wants it fixed right now, because your company is causing us so many problems. Apparently I'm also the CEO now. I then emailed her. Hello miss. We are looking into the issue you raised. If we get an update, we will let you know. If she calls again, I'll just be as vague as possible, tell her we are investigating the issue, and wish her a very lovely day, smiley face.